When standards are clear, action becomes consistent. Even on low energy days, even when confidence wavers, even when progress feels invisible, knowing that you're doing when you're doing what you're able to do and what you're willing to do, even though when you're at work, say for example, and there's an expectation of what you should be doing minute by minute, day to day, hour to hour. And but it's in the slow times when people aren't watching and how you're reacting. You could have taken the day off from going to the gym, but even though nobody's watching and you could take the day off and not go to the gym, you still go. You push through that resistance. But discipline keeps you moving when motivation fades. So by creating discipline and by creating a system that keeps you accountable and moving in the right direction, that discipline, that getting up early and starting your day early and maybe journaling for a half hour and waking up with gratitude by putting your feet on the floor and reciting the things that you're grateful for, and going to the gym 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, or doing something physical. Maybe focusing on your diet. Maybe it's weight loss. But doing the things when other people aren't watching, that is discipline. And systems outperform emotions every single time. Put systems in place. Set an alarm for your 7 o'clock wake up call. And if you're one of those people that like to hit snooze, or you tend to want to pick up the alarm clock and throw it at the wall, set a second one that is away from the bed, so you have to actually get up and walk to the alarm clock. And put systems in place that create fail safes for you, especially for those areas that that you may uh, fall short of from time to time. Resilience grows when you commit to the process, not the feeling. So, you can go to the gym one time and feel good, but committing to the process to know that you need to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week in order to be able to lose the 5 pounds that you want to lose in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's a process. By learning a sales process, what it means to have an introduction, what a positive introduction looks like, and then the meet and greet. How do we define what a meet and greet looks like? And then we do a needs analysis, and we talk about what they're looking for, what our clients need, and how they're going to use the product, and we create questions around that and open up dialogue there. And then what the presentation looks like, and what the trial closes look like, and where do we put those, and then have an ending and where we have a close, and then what the aftercare looks like. So having a committed process in place, that is going to give you confidence to be able to move you along the process more effectively. And you can take that same philosophy, that same process in your personal life and your professional life. Because if you really think about it, a sales process is no different than it being used in a sales transaction as it does in a relationship type transaction. So how do you build resilience intentionally? First, reframe pressure as training, because you're going through this process, you're learning, you're growing, you're in the sales training, you're in the relationship training, you're in the training phase of your growth, right? So pressure isn't punishment, it's preparation. So don't feel like it's this big burden that's on you, because we're learning, we're growing, and it's preparing us for the next conversation, the next time that shows up, that resistance shows up. And the resilience is breaking through that by being prepared the next time and the next time after that. Ask yourself what this challenge is strengthening. What am I gaining? What muscles am I building? What muscles, and how is it stretching me? Where is my growth, and what does it look like? And if I continue down this path, what is that going to do for me 30 days from now, 90 days from now, a year from now? What skill is being built? What capacity is expanding? How is this going to impact my overall income? How the number of sales that I'm going to close by the end of the month? How is this going to impact, by having more wealth, my family? How is my family going to be impacted by having more wealth? How about my investments? How about maybe a bigger house, or that toy that you want? Maybe travel. Maybe it's going to influence the quality of your life. But discomfort is feedback. It's not a stop sign. So when you're not feeling comfortable in a certain situation, step into it, learn and grow. It's feedback. It's telling you how you need to learn and how you need to grow. It certainly is not a stop sign. So, what you carry today builds the strength that you'll rely on tomorrow. Again, repetition is the mother of skill. If you're replacing if you're erasing those negative thoughts, take that eraser and erase negative thoughts in your mind and replace them. Have something to replace it with. Take the opposite of the negative and turn it into a positive and say it exactly the opposite and create that when the negative self-talk and limiting beliefs show up. And you can be better prepared for tomorrow because it's going to strengthen tomorrow what you do over and over again. And then second, control the inner dialogue. Tell yourself positive affirmations. I'm the best salesperson in the company. I can see the client signing the contract at the end of the presentation. I can see the positive outcome. I can see my boss praising me when this goes the right way. I can see my wife praising me for a job well done and excited about the new revenue that's going to be coming in because we've been able to close this big deal, right? So the way you speak to yourself during pressure, it determines how fast you recover from any pushback or barriers that may show up. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Shift to, what's required of me right now? How can I grow? What do I need to do right now? How do I need to show up in order to create a positive outcome? Calm, grounded self-talk creates clarity. And clarity, it leads to better decisions. When you have a clear mind and you have clarity based on your core foundations and your core values that is equivalent to your foundation, clarity leads to better decisions. You have to imagine that if you have negative self-talk and you woke up the day in the earlier in the day and you didn't do you weren't grateful and you just were worried about what's going to show up for the day and you had all of this heavy burden emotional attachment to your day, how do you think that's going to reflect in your conversation? Same thing goes as if you do your gratitude and you start the day positive with a positive mental attitude and you're looking in the mirror and telling yourself how great you are and you're going to have a wonderful day. Your inner voice, it's telling you, it's preparing you for the day, and you can speculate, you can imagine that how the two different mindsets is going to reflect on the decisions that you're going to be making throughout the day. Your inner voice either drains energy or it fuels resilience. Choose words that move you forward, not self-limiting words, or don't beat yourself up, or whatever. And there's a lot of words that you can use, and I tend to try to focus on the positive and creating a positive mental environment. Third is build recovery into the process. Resilience doesn't mean pushing nonstop. It means knowing when to reset without quitting. Reflect after the tough days and focus on how things could have been different. Adjust the standards without abandoning them. Learn, recalibrate, and then continue. So, replace negative self-talk with positive affirmations and learn and grow. And you can only imagine that if you continue this act and have this process in place for a period of time, it's said that if we commit to a lifelong of learning, that every 5 years we become a different person, a new person. I'd like to think a better person, because if we're focusing on positivity and we're focusing on growth and learning, we can't help but to adapt in our everyday lives and become a different person. And I'll bet if you talk to one person once every 5 years, that you will be a completely different person the next time that you have a conversation with that person 5 years later. Guarantee it. Rest isn't weakness when it's intentional. Recover strengthens consistency. You have to allow yourself time to rest and relax and breathe and appreciate all of God's blessings that He provides to us each and every day. The air that we get to breathe, the floor beneath us, the roof over our heads, the sun that rises, the sun that sets, the oceans, the lakes, the breeze, the warmth. Appreciate all of those things. Rest so that you can absolutely have gratitude for all of those things. And again, recovery, it strengthens consistency. If you can if you can rest and relax, and that brings that new motivation, that renewness to to your everyday conversations. And the goal, it's never about perfection. No one can hold you to the highest standard except for yourself in terms of perfection. So we are our own worst critics, and we hold ourselves to the highest standards. We want everything to be perfect. But the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is progress that lasts, learning and growth and adapting and strengthening. That's what matters. Resilience isn't toughness for the sake of toughness, right? And what that means is that because we put ourselves in tough situations and we are outside of our comfort zone, we don't do that for the sake of toughness. We do that for growth and for learning, and then it's turned into a commitment. It's staying aligned with your direction when things get uncomfortable. When you build resilience, challenges stop controlling you and start shaping you. And that's where real growth happens. So if you want more on this, please reach out. My name is Danny Martin. You can find me at Danny Martin Success. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can find my Facebook group, Danny Martin Success. I look forward to hearing and seeing your comments below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Make it a great day.